Good morning, my little cheeky monkeys. It's nice to see you back. The sun's shining outside. I think it's going to be another lovely day. I thought we'd just do another quick sneaky story. So I've chosen one off Benjamin's bookshelf. This story is called The Smartest Giant in Town. And it's by Julia Donaldson, which we know already from the Gruffalo. The illustrations are done by Axel Schleffer. I think I've said that right. It's called The Smartest Giant in Town. This is George. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown.
I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said,
very sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes. Look at him peeking in through the doorway. He bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the side, and a pair of smart shiny shoes.
Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly.
George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly.
What's the matter? Said George.
It's my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold.
I wish I had a nice warm scarf.
Oh, he does look a little bit sad, look. If George is going to help him out. He looks quite a kind giant, doesn't he? Cheer up, said George, and he took off his big stripy new tie.
It didn't match my socks anyway, he said,
and he wound it around and around and around the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. Thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode home, he sang to himself.
My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town.
George came to a river, and on the boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat. It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a nice, strong new sail for my boat. Can't go anywhere without his sail. The wind blows him along. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt.
Oh, it kept coming untucked anyway, he said,
and he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. He made a magnificent sail. Thank you, said the goat. Now he can set off back on his adventures now. George strode along, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George almost stepped on a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice in it. They were all squeaking. What's the matter? Said George. It's our house, squeaked the mother mouse. It burnt down and now we have nowhere to live. Wish we had a nice new house. Oh, look, all the baby mice. They're all really sad. Cheer up, said George, when he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway, he said. And and the mouse and the babies all scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you," they squeaked. Now George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind, and as he hopped, he sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "Oh, what's the matter?" said George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle." "I wish I had a nice, dry, warm sleeping bag," he said. And look, it's fallen off his bag and it's landed in a puddle. Oh dear, it's all soggy. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the side. "It was tickling my toes anyway," he said, and the fox snuggled down in his nice new sock, and it made a fine sleeping bag. "Oh, thank you," said the fox. George hopped along singing to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse, and one of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "Arr!" "What's the matter?" said George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a dry, safe path," he said. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said, and he laid it down over the bog, and it made an excellent path for the dog. "Oh, thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped along singing to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped the dog who was crossing the bog, but..." Not sure I can show you the next page. It's a little bit rude. George said, "My trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town." Look! Suddenly George felt very sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and he thought, "I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes." He turned around and he hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got back to the shop was closed. "Oh no," said George, and he sank down on the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals as he had met on his way home. Then out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something familiar. It was a bag with things poking out of the top. George took a closer look. "My gown," he yelled, "my dear old gown and sandals." George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. "I'm the cosiest giant in town," he cried, and he danced back along the road. When he got home, outside his front door, there were all the animals that he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. "Come on, George," they said, "open it." George untied the ribbon. Inside was beautiful gold paper crown and a card. "Look inside the card, George," said all the animals. George put the crown carefully on his head and he opened the card. And inside it said, "You gave your scarf to a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped the dog who was crossing the bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown. To the kindest giant in town." Wow. Oh, I like this last page, look. His shoes on the back. Wow. That's really nice. I think he's got lots of good friends now, don't you? It's nice to get a thank you letter. Even if it's just a thank you to mummy or daddy or somebody in your family. It's really nice to get a thank you letter. It makes you feel really happy. Now, in our story today, we had the giant, didn't we? We had George, and he gave his tie to the giraffe to wear as a scarf. Now, this morning, I've got lots of my scarves over here. I've got colourful scarves. I've got flowery scarves. I've got stripy scarves. I've got animal scarves. And I've got scarves with all kinds of things on. This one's got birds, and this is a really big one. It's got lots of birds on this one. And it got me thinking. Some of my scarves are really long and some of my scarves are quite short. And I wondered, as a challenge today, if you could have a go maybe at designing your own scarf. Maybe one that Miss Law might like to wear or someone else might like to wear. Maybe somebody in your family. But the biggest challenge today is I want you to use whatever you can in your house. It could be newspaper or paper or card or string or wool. And I want you to try and make a pretend scarf as tall as you. It can be anything you find in the house. But it's got to be the same size as you. So you've got to try and do a little bit of measuring today. You can use lots of things for measuring. You could maybe get a grown-up to help you. Because when you have made your scarf, I want to see if you can measure it, and you could see how many hands long your scarf is, or maybe you could measure with your feet and see how many feet long your scarf is. If you're really clever, and if you have a tape measure in your house, you could have a go at measuring your scarf and seeing how many centimetres your body is, or your scarf is. So those are your challenges today. You could also have a go, if you make a paper scarf, you could have a go at making a pattern on your scarf, a bit like some of the patterns I've got here. Lots of these are repeating patterns. So you might do a stripy scarf, and you might do red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, or red, blue, green, red, blue, green. You might put flower patterns on your scarf. You could have a go at doing different shapes on your scarf. But I really like, I'm sure I would like, and your teachers would really like to see some of them. So maybe you could send a photograph to your teachers and show them what your new scarf looks like. We do like getting all your pictures. It makes it really exciting for us. Okay, so take care. Enjoy the sunshine, stay safe, and look after your families. And we'll hopefully see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.